What's going on, Big Brother brothers and sisters? It is your boy Deluxedave here, and we have made it to the finale of Big Brother, the season finale of our 23rd season of Big Brother. And I have to say, this has been the best season of Big Brother I have ever seen in my life. Like, I've been watching it forever. It's been an amazing season. I'm so glad I got to cover each and every episode of this season. Like, everything, the goods, the bads, the uglies, I've been covering it. So I tried to get a little dressed up today for you, but this is about as dressed up as I'm going to be because I moved into this new house and I'm trying to find ties and shirts and all of this stuff. And this is about as dressed up as I'm going to be today. But we're still going to celebrate and honor the wonderful Big Brother cookout and this finale and everything that went down. So let's get right into it. There was a special episode that did come on Friday. There wasn't much that was covered. I did notice a couple of parts where they talked about like the interaction between Kylan and, you know, Derek pretty much let it be known. Big D was like, you know what? He showed on out, and he showed out in the most horrible way. Like, Kylan embarrassed himself, but all in all, you know, they got together and they talked about all the goods and the bads and the things of this season that have really brought them to where they are. And I love that they do this every season because they start to get out into the nitty gritty. They even talk about a little bit of the cookout and how important the cookout was to the Big Brother franchise this entire season. So it's so great to see that this happened. You know, I don't even know what the next seasons are going to look like, but this season in particular is a special one for so many people that have been Big Brother fans for the longest time. And they finally get to see people like them win and come up strategically and win something and have a chance to even get to the final. So I loved what they did on Friday. I'm so happy for the final three, even though, you know, I was iffy about a few of them, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But anyway, after we got done with that Friday episode, we get right into Sunday because there were only about 3 episodes. We had Friday, we had Sunday, and then we went to the finale on Wednesday. Nothing extra. This was it. So Sunday we start out, each contestant is talking about their role even more. They go into even more depth about how Asa got there, how Xavier got there, how Big D got there. Now, when Big D was talking about how he got there, I really wasn't into it because I'm like, Big D, you have fathomed, you have made this stuff up in your mind about how you got to the final. I'm not quite sure everything that you did, but you're saying that you got to the final in a certain type of way, and I'm like, what did you really do? Now, granted, you know, he kept secrets. He did what he had to do for the cookout. I'll give that to him. But when it comes down to talking about making humongous moves in the game, you stayed loyal to a person. That's different than making huge moves in the game. You stayed loyal. You stayed under the radar, kind of like Asa. Not really under the radar, because you blew up a lot of times. But you might have had a loud mouth. You've been able to like talk loud and be, you know, he's a big personality. So hey, yeah, you were very lively in the house, or like you know, like Aretha Franklin, great gowns, you know, beautiful gowns. It was like that. You weren't giving everything that you gave, but I love his confidence about it, because even we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, so we keep on going, and after we get past that, we have to have the HOH competition. It's part 1. It's broke up into 3 sections. So how it basically goes is the 3 of them get to compete. Nobody's left out of the HOH competition this time. Whoever wins this HOH competition goes automatically to the 3rd round. Whoever loses goes to part 2. They have to battle it out to see who goes to part 3. And then whoever wins from part 3 gets to choose whoever they want to go with them. That's basically how it runs down. It's like that every single season. So Xavier ended up winning the very first round of part 1. It was interesting to see because Big D was up there for about 19 minutes. He dropped off. Asa looked like she was going to hang on and she was going to hold on for a little bit, but I was like, she couldn't do it. I mean, I think my arms are pretty long, so if I had been like on that ride, it might have been able to like wrap around the entire thing, but she tried her best. You know, Xavier pulled it out. Xavier was pulling out the stops. He's playing his hardest, and I got to give it to Xavier. You know, he did stuff when he needed to do it. He brought his A game when he needed to bring his A game, and I got to give it to Xavier for that. So shout out to Xavier. But Asa, you know, I wanted her to win that so that possibly there could have been a different outcome, but she did not. So it goes on. We get to Wednesday because Sunday was just a lot of talking. They were talking amongst one another. They were trying to figure out what was going on. The one thing that tripped me out about that episode on Sunday was that Asa and Big D were arguing back and forth again, like who who did what for who and who carried who and all of these things, and it's all getting entangled in their minds. And I'm just like, at this point, play to win. At this point, you don't need to be going through all of the back and forth about everything. It should just be best man wins these games. And it comes down to these competitions, basically. So we get to Wednesday, and this is the season finale. It's 2 hours long, so I wanted to make sure I had plenty of time to run down everything that happened on Wednesday. So on the part 2 of the challenges, we had Big D and Asa heading off, and they basically had to spin a basic wheel and match the faces and line them up evenly of who were the 4 that they asked for to be up on the wheel. So they actually have to do that with their hands or their legs or however they can get it, and center it and run back down and hit the buzzer once they have their answer. They get to do that 3 times. So Asa looked like she hadn't done a great job, but Big D looked like he was balling, like, but his knees was like bleeding and the blood gushing out of the knees and all this crazy stuff. It was quite brutal. Maybe they should have given them knee pads, but hey, he did what he had to do. And I love that Joe Frazier spirit. You know, the spirit of your father. He was like, I'm going to keep doing this until, you know, if my dad can go up here and box and beat Muhammad Ali. He made sure he added that insert in there. If he can do that, I know that I can do this too. So shout out to him for sustaining and doing what he had to do. He ended up losing. Asa ended up winning that. So she got to go to the final part 3. But before we even got to the part 3, Asa is basically now in the driver's seat of what she can do. She is like, I hold the destiny in my hands on basically how far I can go in this game. And that's how I really did want it to be. I would rather have her have won part 1 so that, you know, she could have had kind of a leg up in time to really prepare and get in the head and the mind space. But when you have 2 competitions back to back that you got to win to stay in this, it makes it very, very difficult to sustain in the final round. So everything just moves very quickly at this point. So Asa and Big D get into this huge argument at the very end of all of this that's gone on, the loyalty that they've had to one another. And I really got to see Big D's colors come out during this part of the game, because as Asa and him were arguing about different things and going back and forth, she was talking about how loyal she had been to him. And when she wasn't able to guarantee him that he was staying, he got upset. This is a game. This is how the game is played. And I understand you get upset about not being able to do stuff or not being able to keep your word on different things. You did the same thing to her. You made this promise. He was trying to be so honest with her about him taking X that she had to be honest with him too, that you might not be going either. And how are you going to get upset when you don't even have the same loyalty to her either? So I didn't quite understand what he was getting so upset about. It's kind of like how Kylan was. It's like, you don't want to really, you want to tell me about what's going on without really telling me, but you get mad if I don't reciprocate the same thing. It was just really weird all in general, and I felt like Big D took it way too much to heart about what, you know, Asa was trying to come up with, and the way that he handled it by saying, you know, I carried you, thanks. I carried you all this way, and thanks. I'm glad you got here by my merit. At that point, I was totally turned off from Big D, because that was wrong altogether. If this is your friend, I think that's why Asa felt so hurt, because he said some really ruthless things in the end. And when I started to think about it, I said he really reminds me of Kylan. Maybe that's why they got along so well together, because they're one and the same. Yes, they were looking out for their own games, but they did not do it in a very nice way. Now, that could just be the way he was raised, and that's what he comes from. That's the root of it. And I know this is just a game, but when it comes down to it, there is an aspect of how you treat people. And if I'm ever to be in somebody's big brother house, you know, I want to treat everybody with respect. It doesn't matter who they are, what they are. If I'm upset, I'm going to try to think through what's going on. And not everybody can be like that. Hey, not everybody's like that. Do what you do, but I just didn't care for it. This is my honest opinion. I just didn't care for the way that he treated Asa in this game towards the end. It was not right to me, and it was borderline a lot, because a lot of people on the internet and stuff like that were going back and forth talking about how, you know, Big D is talking to the women in this house, like how he talked about Tiffany at the beginning, which I told y'all about a long time ago. Then he went ahead with Asa getting upset. Like, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. I felt like it was way disrespectful, and he really didn't have respect for many of the women in that house. And I'm sorry that, even Kylan was a little bit better the way he communicated with women. Yeah, he went toe to toe with men, but he never was disrespectful in a way to some of the women, like even in the back screen and all of that stuff. So I really didn't like that. His attitude was ugly to me, and that's how I feel. Anyway, we go ahead and we get out of the house and get to go see the jurors, because this is preparation time. So we get to sit down and hear from each juror on what they think about how the game has been played thus far. They don't know who's going to come out next, so Kylan ends up coming out, and Brittany lets out a huge yes. Like, she's like, yes, I'm so excited. I'm like, dang, Brittany, you could pipe down a little bit. Don't show so much excitement for, you seeing Kylan. I'm just like, it was crazy, but she was excited that he was there. I think Tiffany and Chada were very shocked. A lot of other people were kind of shocked to see him there. Sarah Bev didn't look too amused. I found it funny, though, when they sat down to talk with the jurors, that Kylan was so biased to making sure that X did not get any praise. Like, he almost went into this grandeur of like delusion. He went into this like delusional thing where he's like talking back and forth about, I really don't feel like it's done. He's done that much in the game. It's all about this and that and the other. When it comes down to it, it's not about this and that. And he still continued to make jabs. Like, it's just like these jabs that he was pulling out of the works about, even it just showed his unremorse from saying what he said to Xavier. And he does that again. We're going to mention that in a little bit, but I'm just like, Kylan, like, dude, have some sympathy, like, show some, like, you can't back down and say, like, I was wrong in that instance. I feel like I shouldn't, I was wrong. I shouldn't have said what I said. He can't do it. It's like he can't back down off of it. He's just going to stick to his horse. He's going to be right. That's basically what Xavier said. Kylan will always want to be right. And that comes along with maturity. I used to be the same way when I was younger. I used to be like, okay, I'm right all the time. I know everything. And in many instances, you don't. And I think it's something that he'll have to learn the hard way. Hopefully, people won't coddle how he acted. They will tell him the truth about how he was in the game. I'm not talking about in real life. People mistake when I'm talking about a person or when I'm just talking about in the game. He was in the game, low key, like, not right and disrespectful. And that was how I felt about Kai in the game. Now, I don't know. I may get into a game, if I ever get to a chance to play on this game, like go in here and I could be a total different person than who I am in real life because of the stress of the game. But I gotta hock it up to what we see. And that's all I have to do. I'm talking about how I see it and what they presented to us from the editing room. So don't hate me because I'm talking about it, but this is how I saw you. So anyway, Kylan is all the way against the stuff, and then Sarah Beth is trying to mention some things where she really didn't like, she liked X's play and Kylan didn't agree with that. But the thing that shocked me the most about this sit down with the jury was when Kylan actually undermined Chada and told Hannah that Big D's game and Hannah's game were one and the same and they were interchangeable. Tiffany jumped right in like, oh my God, I find that low-key disrespectful. That is rude to even say. Hannah was nowhere close to how Big D played this game. He still tried to make an excuse for how he acted or by getting rid of Chada. Like he made the right decision. It's like in his head, he wants to be so right that he'll even say whatever he wants to say and it don't even make a hill bean of sense. It don't make no sense at all. I'm like, how could you even compare Chada's game with how Big D played? It didn't make sense. They were not interchangeable. The two interchangeable people that y'all did get out of there was Tiffany and Chada. Tiffany went first. Chada went after her. That's it. Those are the only two people that were left in the house at that time from the cookout that were interchangeable. Period. That did not make any sense that he would even say that. I thought Hannah was shocked when he said something like that. And that was low-key rude. But it is a game. So, hey, whatever you believe, whatever you think, maybe in your mind, you thought that was how it looked, but dude, that was cuckoo. Like I don't even see how he came up with that. But anyway, that's what Kylan said, and everybody looked kind of appalled by just the way that Kylan approached it. It's like he was still carrying this bitterness all the way through the game. Like he really wanted, and everybody wants to really, really win. But when you can't be real with yourself about the reasons why you lost, or the reasons or the bad moves that you might have made, saying that everything that you did, you would have probably done. Like, come on, let down the pride and be like, this is this and that. But maybe when he gets out of the house and gets a chance to recollect everything that happened and watch the game through, he can see some of those faults. But he may not. It may be the person he is, and y'all will continue to geek his head and make him think he did the best job that he could, and he was a great game player. He was a great game player, yes, competition-wise. Socially, slop. It wasn't good. So anyway, let's move on. So after that, we come out of the jury house, and Asa and Xavier go head to head for the final part 3 of the HO8. Asa loses on the first question. She loses it, and she got every other question right, but that first question, she got in her head, and she missed that question, and that is what led Xavier to the win of the third part, and Xavier decided to send Asa home. Now, do I think that Xavier made the correct decision? From a game standpoint, Xavier did make the right decision to guarantee his money. I will say he made the correct decision because, let me explain why. Asa had won a challenge already. Asa was able to float under the radar. Asa might have been a bigger threat and got many of the women's votes because they were excited to see him there. So, from a game standpoint, Xavier made the correct decision by saying, Asa, you go. Now, did I want to see Asa go? No. I by no means wanted Big D to be up there, to be in the final 2. By no means at all. Like, undeserved. Didn't think he should have been there for the gameplay. Sorry. I don't care how much you want to toot your own horn and make it seem like you were the best game player, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 yeah, rah, 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 all of that. But to me, you did not deserve a spot there. Now, you know what? It's very hard for me sometimes to say that because who knows? I may one day get into the house and be like the under the radar person that got to the end too. So I commend him for making it to the end. I just didn't want to see him there. From a game standpoint, you guys. Like, that's how I feel. So I wasn't happy, but Xavier, you made the right decision. So we finally get down there, and he ends up taking Derek, and they come out there, and Big D is really, 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 really cocky, as usual. I mean, I love him. He cocky. He knows it. I think he just wants to be on TV some more. Like, he is good for TV. Period. Big D is good for TV. That's why he's so lovable. So we have to give that to him. So the thing about, Big D, and even when they're asking him questions, they get to ask these questions right before they go to vote. And Big D is like pumping himself up. But what made me so mad was that it was almost like when he started to talk about the cookout, it's almost like he came up with the idea and he took credit for it. Even though I think the votes were already settled on who people were going to do, it was just funny. Like, even everybody else was laughing along. Like, Big D, you're hilarious. Like, you really up here, you know how to talk crap, and your crap don't even make sense, or that your crap is not true. He could be saying all the most outlandish things in the whole world. He could say, like, I've been the president of the United States before, I've done this, that, and people will believe him because of the way he says it. He says it with force. He says it so believably, but they were laughing because, dude, you did not come out, you came up with the name, but the whole plan of the cookout was all, Tiffany and Xavier a little bit, for holding it together. But Tiffany plotted that out on the plan. Like, don't take the credit. Like, I would be mad if it was an even split and he had done well, like he had won some HOHs and stuff, and then he actually lies at the panel to tell them that, he came up with all this stuff. So basically at the end of it, Big D was like, I pretty much know that you're gonna be first place and I am second place, and I'm fine with that. He was fine with being second. And that I read some things, and as a Big Brother like player, nobody should be fine with being second. You want to be the winner of Big Brother, period. Nobody should be okay with that, like, honestly, and say that straight outright, that you're fine with being second. You're just happy that you got to the final 2 seats. That disrespects or like almost spits on the Big Brother game and how it's played and what you're supposed to be playing for. So it kind of tarnished it for me, like, watching him do that. And a lot of people chimed in about that and said the same thing. Like, that's low-key disrespectful. So, hey, Big D, I'm glad you got your money. You got to do what you had to do, because when it all came down to it, they started revealing stuff about each other. He revealed that he was a lawyer, Xavier, and and Big D was already on to that. Chada revealed that she's going to medical school. A lot of these people started to reveal their truths, and I loved that they all got to see it. And everybody was so excited to know who the real people are. And I loved it that when they did that. I was like so up. I was like in the TV, like I was so close to the TV. Big Brother excites me, especially the finale. I was like standing up for some of the parts of the finale, and it's just an exciting game. So all in all, you know what this led to. It led to a landslide. After 5 votes, he had already won. Xavier became the Big Brother champion. So I was so excited for them. Even when Asa questioned Big D about, why you should win the $750K, and he came up with some wish-wash for me that didn't even make sense. Everybody was happy with how it came out because Xavier ended up winning. He was well deserving of it. I did not want Kylan to get it. Like, I felt like his gameplay did not deserve to be the first African American winner of Big Brother. I felt like Xavier was perfect. It could have been either Xavier or Tiffany to me, or even Chada. It could have been one of those 3, and I would have been happy. I'm excited. Xavier played a great social game. He did what he had to do. He barely had to get blood on his hands. He was very likable. He came very well prepared when he made his speeches and did everything. He was on the block like 4 or 5 times, and still killed it. Like, Xavier, hats off to you for your gameplay and how you did what you did. It was wonderful. But what really got me so freaking excited was America's favorite house guest that I voted for a couple times was Tiffany. That my heart was so full. Like, that part, and also the part where they had Brittany tell about her struggle, with autism and stuff like that. I was so overjoyed to see that. It warmed my heart, like, that she could share that information and be one of the first people to get on these TV screens and show that anybody, you can do anything you put your mind to, you can do. So it makes me sit up here and just believe so much more. Even like this whole entire year from my life, like, has been getting into this house, seeing things that I could not see before. So it's like, I believe it. And now I believe I can do anything. Like, seriously, it really puts you in that mindset that if you really apply yourself and think that you can and continue on and press towards what you can do anything. So I just very, very well may go apply for Big Brother season 24. I just may. We'll see. I'm not really sure. Many people have encouraged me to, and many of my friends are like, yeah, go do it. But I'm not sure if I want to or not yet, but we will see. I think it would be awesome. It'd be great to follow behind what a powerful season like this, but it'd be kind of scary because you don't know what could happen. They could be gunning for everybody this time. Like, it'd be like, I want all the black people out first. This time, it could go any type of way. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the next season goes. Here's the rundown of what they let us know of who voted for who. It was a landslide, so I don't even have to go through who voted for who, basically, because everybody voted for Xavier. Nobody voted for Big D, which was very, very great. I'm very happy that Tiffany got the America's Favorite House Guest. It really made me excited. Let's go through, before I wrap this up. This has been, let me just say real quick, this has been an amazing time. I've had such a great time every single week keeping up with this and doing it on this season especially. For me, regardless of whoever is watching or whoever heard little bits and pieces of what I was talking about, it makes me so happy to be so happy to see this. Like, I literally could cry because Davon did this big old long speech a while back about this. And to see this come to fruition 2 or 3 years later, it's amazing to see that your words matter. And even if you don't feel like saying something sometimes it could be life-changing. And I want to give a shout out to Mama Day, who is my favorite Big Brother player of all time. Tiffany is a close second right now because she played this game. But she is one of my favorite players. Mama Day is. And when she mentioned that, they've never seen this, but I wanted to do this, to come in here and be this way. There was a bigger purpose. There was a bigger picture to just her winning. And that's what the cookout was all about. And they brought that same spirit that Mama Day had into that house, got in alignment, and did what they had to do to win this game. And man, I get emotional just thinking about it because this is a game I watched for so long. And to see this happen, my heart was so happy. I'm like smiling from ear to ear because from the beginning I told y'all I was rooting for everybody like that was up in there, and it happened. Thank you, Cookout. Y'all have given me hope to like maybe get on here and do a little something. So let's quickly go through some of these tweets that I happened to come upon, because every time something happened in the Big Brother house, this whole season, I constantly kept going to the tweets to see what was up. So let's go through all of these tweets that I saw. The first one comes from Paradigm. It says, Colin's attempt to twist the narrative to defend his bad takes is so unfortunate. Imagine thinking Hannah and Big D are interchangeable. Hashtag BB23. Next one up says, Reality Barbecue says, and that's Reality Barbecue, hashtag BB23, hashtag CBB US23. Colin should lose his jury vote for that absurd Hannah Derrick comment. Hashtag BB23. Andy Heron says, these women defending themselves and putting Colin in his place is the best thing I've seen all season. More of this, please. Then next up, Brittany Renee said, Big D is so full of himself and has done absolutely nothing. Girl, bye. Hashtag BB23. I so agree with your comment. Here's another one that Mel text Tiffany to 97979, and I did. It says, Brittany damn near caught the Holy Ghost and praise dance when Colin walked in. Hashtag BB23. Next up, there was this from Tori, and it says, hashtag BB23. They're saying Derek Frazier. DF equals I put in work. The work in question. And then they have him sleeping on a chair. I said, y'all are so not right. But this one topped them all, you guys. This topped them all. So do you remember at the beginning of the season, let me find this girl's name real quick because I don't want to jack it up. So let me find her name real quick from the very beginning of my notes when I was telling you all of the people that were in Big Brother. Her name was I believe her name was Christy Valdeseri. Christy Valdeseri was supposed to be on this season, but she was replaced by Claire. And then they had a meme up here of Christy that says she should. It's from Amazon Wine, hashtag BB23. It says she would be so proud to see this all bald final two. Heartbreak, heartbreak, heartbreak. Hashtag BB23. And why is she in like gray? Like, y'all stop. Y'all are so dead wrong. I put up on like underneath this comment, I was like, y'all will not be this messy on Beyonce's internet at all. It was hilarious though. That was very funny. Then text Tiffany to 97979. It says, I find it beyond disrespectful for Big D to shout, give him first and me second, I'm ready to go. It's disrespectful of the game and the people who love this game. Hashtag BB23. Totally agree with that comment. Totally disrespectful. And then Ty says, the final two of the BB franchise deserved. And it says, hashtag BB23, and it has a picture of Tiffany and Chada, which I definitely agree with that one. And then there's another funny one that says, Jolene Lunzer says, when a dude takes credit for your work, hashtag BB23, hashtag BB23 finale. And it has a picture of Tiffany sitting there looking pissed. Like, I bet you that's how she was looking after he took credit. And then finally, the best but not last, and I retweeted this, and it says, Tony Stewart says, hashtag BB23, congratulations to Xavier Prather on becoming the first African American to win a regular season of Big Brother after 21 years, 23 seasons, a really amazing moment in American culture and history in the making. Hashtag BBLF, hashtag Big Brother 2021. And that is a wrap on Big Brother Season 23. I want to thank y'all for hanging in there with me. Make sure if you are here, still come and subscribe to this channel. I might come back every once in a while to pop in some things, but I have some more things that are in the works. So be on the lookout on this channel. And thank you for coming each and every week. If you know anybody that wants to go back and review some of this season, tell them to go back and watch some of the old shows that I got of this Big Brother season and some of my old material. Thank you so much. I will see you guys maybe next year or maybe on Big Brother. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye, Joey.